Thanks again, everybody, for being here tonight. We've got an incredible panel and conversation lined up for you across the next 40 minutes or so, and then we'll have 20 minutes of Q&A afterwards and some questions that all of you have submitted. But this panel features our president of Shark Sports and Entertainment, Jonathan Becker, right here to my left. Head coach of the San Jose Sharks, Ryan Warsofsky. And general manager, Mike Greer. Or as a lot of you call him, Big Money Mike. I think you just got the loudest ovation, by the way. I wasn't calculating that, but it happened. And don't worry, as we said, I've prepared some homework here. I've been working with this stack of papers for a couple days now, trying to get the very best questions I could for these gentlemen. But also, after I'm done, we will have some of the select questions that you submitted as Sharks 365 members via that email, the Know Before You Go email. So we do have some of those at the very end, and we'll spend our final 20 minutes on that. All right, gentlemen, if you don't mind, let's begin with this kind of theme. And by the way, you may notice that questions here are a little bit more heavy for Ryan and Mike to begin, because Jonathan has his own section about midway through this panel. So we're going to pace Jonathan out here a little bit. You got to use your mic. You got to turn your mic. Let's make sure.
First time on a microphone, sorry.
Now you're good. Look at that. Coach knows what to do.
Hello.
All right.
I can really say I can't.
It's a good thing I'm a YouTuber. All right. When we think about public perception, the outside view of this team, and I know that that's not really any of your jobs. Your job is just to worry about the inside of the team. But Coach, I'll start with you. How do you describe this season so far? Because I think it is unique. It's different than maybe any other Sharks season, maybe even since the first one here at the Tank, 93-94. Is it outperforming expectations? Is it a group that's just ahead of schedule, or is it just a team that's simply so much deeper than last year?
I think it's a little bit of everything, to be honest with you. We've certainly taken a step in the right direction, and it's not a perfect picture every night, but I think we've taken a step in the right direction as far as how we want to play every single night with our identity, and obviously we've added some personnel here, and our young guys are now a year into it, so we're seeing some improvement, from Mac and Will and some William Eklund as well. So I think we've taken the next step as far as playing with our identity more often, and it's led to some results, but we still have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of hockey to be played, and I think you look at obviously everyone's going to talk about the standings and where we're at, and it's going to keep getting tougher and tougher. So we're going to keep pushing individually to improve and collectively, and that's kind of been the message here.
Mike, I don't know if you got the biggest applause because of the Sherwood trade that just happened, or because recently Alex Wenberg was signed to that contract extension. And obviously, when he's not even here, or you're here, he's a good player. You want him around. But was that deal a little bit symbolic of where the organization is at in this construction project?
I just think it's, Winnie's been a good fit from day one. Good person off the ice, which is very important to us. Good pro, he's got really good habits, and he's been a very productive player for us. So, we're trying to build, and you don't want to let too many good players go out the door. And he's someone who really wanted to be here. He's a big part of our group, and I think he also helps our younger players grow and insulates them a little bit. So. Good centers are hard to find, and he's been really good for us. So we're excited to have him for another 3 years and maybe more.
I'll keep it with you for one more here. Every team in the NHL is going to say we want more depth scoring, we want more secondary scoring. That's not unique to the Sharks. I think this season you could say that you want more of both those things, but from last year to this year, that's also such an improvement area of this team. Don't you agree?
Yeah, the lineup's a little bit deeper, and there's internal growth. Ryan mentioned a little bit, the guys in the second year in the system here. Guys that are more familiar in the league, when you look at Mac and Smitty and Graffer getting to learn the league a little bit, and Eki continuing to grow. So, I think the lineup's a little bit deeper, and the players experienced, and another year in Ryan's system, so it's all kind of meshed together.
All right, it's time for a spicy question, so it's Jonathan's turn here.
You give them the easy ones and the spicy
Yeah,
ones?
I'm warming up. The P word, as in the games that happen after 82. P words are like potential or plausible or, I'll say it, playoffs, right? You can clap for that. I don't know that we're there yet. I know that's kind of this guy's feeling off Lancy over there right now. It's not like the old days of running the Sharks as a business where a lot of teams and a lot of seasons and doing it year after year, maybe you can get comfortable and kind of saying, all right, this is where things are going. How does the Sharks as an organization approach the potential of something like that, maybe as soon as this year?
Look, I just back up. No matter how good your team is, and we were perennially good for 20 years, I don't think you can take playoffs for granted. That's the wrong thing to do, because then you get a little bit too comfortable, bad habits sink in, both on the business side and on the hockey side. And so it's a look at every day and try to get better. Obviously, we're in a contention right now. You know, there's still, I don't know, 36 games or more to go. It's still a long season. But the fact that we're even talking about it and it's late January, I think is a testament to Mike and coach and the players on the ice as well. And so we view this as a build. We don't want to do anything that's short-term successful and long-term not successful. So I'm happy that everyone's looking at this and using the word, but we're focused on the here and now, not the 4 months from now.
Mike and Ryan, you don't want any P-word questions, do you? Nope.
I don't think they want to say the P word.
I got the look. Coach, I'll go to you with this. The media and fans are quick to obviously focus on some of the bigger name players on the team, and a guy like Mac, who's obviously emerged in a tremendous way in the sophomore season. But I also think, and I'll ask Mike about this too, some of the players that were brought in for this year, specifically Delkovich, and I don't mean just the goalie fight again tonight, but Dmitry Orlov, one of your...
Come on, big applause for that.
You guys see the photo of Sam Dickinson looking over at Ned like, is this really happening? But it's not just Ned. I would say like your time on ice leaders, Dmitry Orlov, and the current group has really been complimented from the outside, or even a guy like Ty Dellandrea before the injury took a lot of steps this year. What can you say about the entire big picture of the group effort?
Yeah, it's a close group, I'll tell you that, and these guys get along off the ice. Usually you see when you hit the road is, a few guys going there, and a lot of times there's about 15 going together, or 18 of them, or there's a lot of team dinners, and so that's credit to the leadership group that Toffoli, Wenberg, Barkley, Gaudreau, have really kind of grabbed it and ran with it a little bit. But there's definitely you see some uptick in some play from some guys that you talked about earlier. That we Mike did a really good job of bringing in high character people that are ultra competitive. Dmitry Orlov being one of them. He gives us an honest effort every single night. He lays his body on the line and has given us some hard, heavy minutes and a guy that we can really trust in critical situations. Mario Ferraro's played some really good hockey for us this year, and I could go up and down the roster of guys that have given us good stretches of hockey and really developed. And credit to Mike and his group to really bring in some personnel that can kind of help push this thing to the next step.
And Mike, I think it's an obvious question, but it helps to build the rest of your group. If you think you've identified a core, or if you think you've identified some backbone pieces of the team, how do you go into building off of that? And again, maybe this is even going back to last offseason, or maybe what you'll approach at a trade deadline, or this offseason. How do you approach continuing the core of the entire group?
Well, it's about just trying to find the right pieces, really, and being careful about who we bring in. Warzone's set the culture, the standard of how we play, how we practice, how we compete, and the guys have all bought into it. And so you have to be kind of particular and careful about who you bring in, because you bring in the wrong person or the wrong two people, and all the work that the players and Ryan have done trying to set the standard here can be ruined. So, from our side of it is working with them, working with their scouts and doing our due diligence and trying to find the right pieces to surround our group with.
All right, let's move on to a different topic. Actually, two of them here. The World Juniors, which just took place right at the end of 25 and the start of 26, but also the upcoming Olympics. And Jonathan, I'll start with you. Obviously, the Sharks have 4 Olympians between Macklin and Wenny and Philip Kurashev and Pablo Regenda. But in terms of people you talk to around the league, for NHL players to be going back to the Olympics for the first time since 2014, it's been a while. What's the hype? What's the buzz, league-wise, about shutting everything down, but sending these players off to something special?
Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm hoping that we get a 5th Olympian named pretty soon as well.
I felt really bad for somebody who I thought should have been in there.
We'll see. Let's all silently root for the guy, but not say that loud because we're superstitious. But hey, it's great for the game of hockey. Elevates us to the level of other professional sports so that more people have eyes on it. The downside, of course, is the schedule, right? We're dramatically condensed. You can ask more so of the players about 4 back-to-backs in 10 days, or whatever that was, 12 days. That's, as far as I know, never happened in any professional sport before. But I think the good outweighs the bad. Seeing it on a national stage, however many millions of eyes are going to watch our players skate a hockey, as we raise all ships, that's just good for the sport. So I hope we do it again. We'll see whether it happens every 4 years now.
Mike, what do you think the player experience is going to be for those 4 individuals who go there, see this, rub shoulders with literally the best in the world playing that tournament? What do they come back with?
Assuming the rink gets built, right?
You're going to get yourself in trouble.
Oh yeah, sorry. This is not being recorded, all right? Delete that part out.
Do you see that camera?
Sorry, Gary.
I just think it's going to be an unbelievable experience for the players, and for someone who's played in a world championship, and more so obviously just won a world championship, and kind of being in contention for some of those Olympic teams when I was playing. The honor to get to play for your country and play best on best hockey is something these guys are going to remember for the rest of their lives. And it's an unbelievable opportunity. It's a great showcase for the game, and I'm just really all super excited for all of them. I think it's going to be a great experience, and for a young guy like Mac, he's going to get to rub shoulders with Sid and McDavid and McKinnon and all these great players. I think he's going to be a sponge, and it's going to be great for him. And then, on the other side of it, someone who's a little bit older like Winnie, it's something I'm sure he'll cherish, and maybe was not sure would ever happen for him. Now he gets to go and represent his country. So these are memories and opportunities that are, what every kid, no matter what sport you're playing, dreams of being able to do, and these guys get to do it. So we're very happy and excited for them.
Ryan, you talked about this season before and planning it out in advance, pacing practices, knowing when to use guys and not, just on the condensed schedule. I'm also wondering, though, there's been the preparation pre-Olympics, and you'll obviously have 4, at least, Olympians coming back, and then everybody starts kind of from scratch after 3 weeks off. That'll be unique. Is there a post-Olympics plan as well for this team to kind of make sure that you get back right on track?
Yeah, well, we have some days, so there'll be a short training camp-ish, type of identity to it, and we'll be smart about it. We can't come back in day 1 after being off, 16 days and thrown right into the fire with, high-intensity practice. So we'll sit down with, Mike Potenza, our sports performance guys, and have a pretty good plan. We kind of actually started that process already, so we have a good feel of when we're going to skate, when we won't skate, how intensive those skates will be, and we'll have a good feel for that, so we're ready to go when we get back from the break.
When you throw out an optional skate, that's a collective decision among coaches, or are players involved in that?
No, it's usually the coaches. I think Toffoli will try to ask for one every once in a while.
I was going to ask how that part worked.
Yeah, it's the coaches and the sports performance guys.
Some guys might be a little bit more happier when they hear the word optional, right?
Yeah, optional or day off. Day off is like gold around here.
I get it. Let's switch to the World Juniors, and obviously Michael Misa, Mike comes back with a bronze medal, and I tried to bring it up to him the other day, like congratulations, and he didn't really want to hear that part about the bronze. What did he take away though from that kind of segmented season, right? And obviously starting here, little time on the rehab with the Barracuda after the injury, and then making it out to World Juniors. What do you think he took away from that tournament? Because not a lot of guys in that tournament have already been where he's been in an NHL game.
Yeah, well, one, I think he'd only played 9 games this season going into it. So for him just to get back playing was really important for him in his development. I think in general, the Canadian kids get put up under and probably an unreasonable amount of pressure to perform and to win gold. And like you said, you told him he won a bronze medal and didn't really want to speak about it. Just shows you the pressure these kids are feeling. And it's not necessarily fair for 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, but I think the experience of going through that and kind of feeling that pressure, having to perform under that pressure, is good for their development. For me, he had to go through that and not playing a lot of hockey, and you could see it. He kind of, as the tournament went on, he got better and better, and since he's come back, he's been playing with confidence and skating. So I think it was a good experience for him, good for his development, and it's for someone his age is probably as close as you can get to, a playoff type experience or atmosphere.
Two others I want to ask you about from the tournament. Joshua Ravensbergen made Team Canada. Didn't see him a lot, but he's having a pretty exceptional rest of his regular season so far. How close in tabs are you keeping on him, and what are you interpreting from his season?
Yeah, we're happy for Josh. He'd never been invited to any Team Canada stuff ever before, so it was a big experience for him, even though he didn't get to play. But he's having a great year. Ryan Miller and Nabby keep in constant contact with him and go out and visit him and work with him and his goalie coach. So we're really happy with him. He's having a great year. Looking forward to the second half of the season for him and playoffs, and then we'll kind of see from there. I think he's got a college commitment underway to a really good program. So we're looking forward to his development.
Leo Saline Wallenius also had a great tournament. Obviously, his team had a lot of success, a lot of ice time for him, and yeah, winning a gold medal I think is just cherry on top of all that stuff. Just watching World Juniors, I got re-excited about him. Not that I forgot, but there are so many prospects in this pipeline. You kind of lose track of the inventory sometimes. What did you see from him in World Juniors?
I thought Leo was great. For that country, it's such a hockey factory, and the World Junior history is that, I think it's one gold in, last 20, 25 years or something, and they're always right there. So for them to kind of come out and play and be able to win a gold medal, I thought it was great. And he 8 minutes all game, and probably the reason you forget about him a little bit, because there's nothing flashy about his game. He's just a solid two-way D, defends well, moves puck well, has a lot of poise. He's just a really good all-around two-way defenseman and hockey player. So really excited for him. I thought he was the best D on the ice in the semifinal game there that went to the shootout. I thought he was excellent, and then gold medal. He followed up and played a really solid game. So really happy for him. Happy where his development's at. He had kind of a stop-start year last year between bounced around a couple of different men's leagues over in Europe, but he's been good with his team in the Swedish league this year, and we're kind of excited to see what's next for him.
All right, let's move on and change topics. As we're already past the halfway point of the season, but my goodness, it's gone by so quickly with this expedited Olympic pace. Jonathan, not the biggest crowd we've ever seen at the Tank tonight here versus some regular season games, but sellouts are back, vibes are back. As somebody who runs the business here, how do you see it, but how do you quantify the vibes that are back? How do you know they're back?
Vibes are one of those things you don't quantify, you just know. In fact, I think the vibes started coming back last year. I think people felt it. It was just inconsistently vibing, if that's even a phrase, last year.
You just coined it.
Fair enough. This year it feels like the vibes are just every day. And to me, the vibes are less about the fact that, a random Tuesday against Columbus sells 16,400 tickets, almost a sellout. Largest Tuesday for a decade, as it basically was since before the pandemic. That's one kind of vibes. To me, the vibes is more walking around San Jose or other places in the Bay Area and just seeing people wearing their colors again, and people talking about the Sharks, and lots of people that have sort of ignored the franchise for the last decade coming out of the woodwork and going, oh, I'm a Sharks fan. I've always been a Sharks fan. And
That's when I started asking trivia questions. Like, so, 2019, Game 7, Round 1, what happened?
fair enough.
Or who did trip Joe Pavelski?
So the one thing I'll ask for those of you that have been with us through the ups and the downs is there's room on the bandwagon for everybody. Let's not do the you're a Johnny or Jilly come lately kind of thing. We embrace everyone. That's the spirit of Teal Together. The more that people recognize that something unusual is happening there across the bay, everywhere in the US, we got a huge number of international fans that have come out of the woodwork. I think it's up like 7x year over year. Let's embrace them all. It's good. It's very, what do I call it? Vibey?
That's well said. Yeah, no, those are great points. Coach, you went into this season after doing training camp and you knew some of the players. You also got some new players as free agents or trades that the team made. From how you expected them to be, let's say, opening night to now past the halfway point, what has impressed you about your team that maybe you didn't see coming or you didn't expect from the start?
I think guys have had, taken steps individually, but I think the biggest thing is we've become more of a team that we have guys, playing extremely hard for one another every single night, and whether that's blocking a shot, whether that's making a play to take a hit, maybe that's a big penalty kill or a timely save by one of our goaltenders, or we saw the other night a goalie fight. So I think that's the biggest thing. There's a real care factor right now of within our dressing room of these guys really care for one another. And again, it's not perfect every single night. We're striving for perfection, and we're going to keep pushing that. But I think that's the biggest step that we've taken as far as we're starting to understand it's about the team. And if we want to continue to have success, we need guys to be about the team and obviously perform at a high level individually. But if you play for the guy next to you, that starts bringing some belief, and we're starting to have some belief right now.
Mike, every season obviously brings surprises, but from when you drew it out on paper in the off season and into camp and into opening night versus now in reality, what's maybe the biggest difference or thing you didn't expect or pleasant surprise or thing that's different compared to how you thought it might be?
That's an interesting question.
Is that too deep?
Yeah, it's a little deep.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
How exhausting the 4 back-to-backs.
You hit a long flight home the other night.
Yeah. There's been lots of little surprises along the way. For me, it's just been nice to see guys take opportunity and kind of run with it. Whether that's tied to Landria, Vinny Desharnais, Graffer, guys who've kind of gotten some bigger roles and more opportunity to see them kind of grow and play well. And, I just think the team is, further ahead in the standing-wise than I would have imagined at the start of the season. So, that's kudos to the players in there and more so in the staff. So, I would probably say those 2 things.
Coach, we know that tandems of players aren't just templates. They don't come the same way, and they're not the same, tandems of players. But last year it was Macklin and Will, and this year, for the most part, it's been Sam Dickinson and now Michael Misa, hopefully back, playing a lot more games down the stretch. In terms of Dickinson and Misa, though, what makes them similar to last year's rookies with Mac and Will, and what makes them different, and how are you handling those two specifically this year?
Yeah, I think every player develops in their own path and in their own way, in their own time, and obviously we've seen Mac this year kind of take it up another level. We've seen Smitty become more comfortable before his injury, especially. We've seen Sam here, I'd say, in the last 3 weeks take a nice step in the right direction as far as what we've asked him to do is defending and stick detail, and there's some habits in his game that we're trying to work through and get to his tool set and skill set of transporting pucks and being a threat on the offensive blue line. So I think he's taken a nice step here lately. Obviously, Mee's going to World Juniors, and I thought he's coming off probably his best game against the Florida Panthers the other night. He's skating, his pace is there. There's some detail things, but he's really a smart kid that's picking it up. And I think he's kind of in that same mold of Smitty, where last year we saw Smitty, the game slowed down for him, and he started getting on the score sheet. And I think we're seeing that here a little bit with me. So I think everyone's taking a different path, and guys, you take one step forward and maybe a step back with the schedule and the demand. It's a hard league. It's a demanding league. It's a hard league to win in, and never mind a hard league to play in. So you got to bring it every night, mentally, physically, and I think that's something that they're learning as we go through this process and this grind, and they've done a really good job handling it.
Mike, I'm nervous to go back to you now. I feel like I got to really keep it light. I'll try. In a lot of prior seasons at this point, where maybe it's not trending the right direction, you say, all right, the rest of this year is about development and getting the right players some ice time, getting them that experience. This year, I think you still want to do that to some degree. You're still in a place with a lot of young players that want to develop, but there's also the idea of pushing and going for it a little bit and helping the team try to reach a second season. Do you have to make that choice of one or the other? Can you do both from the front office standpoint?
I think so. It's something we got to balance, and something Warsaw and the coaching staff have been really good about trying to balance and working with the young players, and it's not always an easy thing to kind of go through the ups and downs and the mistakes that young players make. So it's just for us kind of sticking to the plan. And Jonathan mentioned a little bit earlier, it's I have to kind of stay disciplined and look at the not only the here and now, but the medium and long-term future of the organization and the team. So we're still developing players. That's still the where we are in this project, is players are developing, but at the same time, if we can push a little bit, we'll try to push a little bit, and that's what we did last week with adding Kiefer. I think the group showed that they deserved a little bit of a bump, and someone who maybe can come in there and help them and grow with their groups. But we're still in the building phase, we're still in the developmental phase, and the players and Ryan have done a really good job of kind of pushing us to where we are, and so we'll just keep seeing how far this thing goes.
All right, it's time to play a video. We have chatted a lot recently about the upcoming reimagination here to SAP Center in the next few years. And before we get into some questions and Jonathan's featured segment of this panel Q&A, let's take a look up at the video board for a little sneak peek of what is to come for the Sharks and this building, SAP Center.
We made clear tonight, we agree that San Jose bleeds teal. The future is teal, and San Jose is the future.
This is now the exciting time. It's a chance for SAP Center to continue to contribute to the revitalization, and we can reimagine what the future of San Jose looks like. 50 million people over the last 32 years came through our building to here's to 100 million. The future is clearly here in San Jose.
Wow, the stylings of Randy Hahn, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, Jonathan, do we have like a heart rate monitor for Randy? Like, is he gonna survive some of these games?
We check on it.
I thought Pittsburgh might have been the end to him, and Florida the other night.
You know the chips we put on the players? We got one.
Yeah, we need one just to make sure he doesn't go too far on those calls. Okay, so everybody excited about the news from this past summer, and
what news?
Well, the lease extension, the upgrades to SAP Center, the reimagination of this building. We'll get to the phraseology, which is important in just a second, but there were a few renderings that came out, I want to say in August. Jonathan, I haven't seen anything since. I'm hungry to see some more visuals. I don't think you're going to debut anything tonight, but can we expect that soon?
Yes. To think about how I answered it. You were supposed to warn me about what questions you were going to ask, but you never did.
Spicy.
I get the P word question and now this one. Okay. So let's back up. You actually said a really important word, which is, as everyone knows, we now extended the lease by 25 years. We're collectively, along with the city. Together with the city, we're putting about $500 million into this building. Some of the construction has already started. There's a big bump this summer and even a bigger bump next summer. The thing is, this almost 35-year-old barn needs a rethink. And so we're actually not treating this as a renovation, if you might renovate your house or see another renovation. We're stepping back and saying, we're not building another building, we're not going to do what some other team tiled, but how do we rethink what this building is? How do we start with you guys, the member and the fan experience, and say, how could we make it better? And so the word we're using is reimagine, because we really are trying to say, what happens if we can't, and we're not going to, but tear it down, but how much can we reimagine the everyday events experience, not just at Sharks Hockey, but at the 100 other events that happen in this building. And we're working collaboratively with the city. Some of you have been involved in the process, people that are employees as well, the hockey guys and their day-to-day experience, et cetera. And so because this change is going to happen over 5 to 7 years, we're not hurrying up a bunch of the a bunch of the images, because we want to get them right, and it is the city's building, so we need their approval. That's a long-winded way of saying is we're almost there. We're almost there to be able to tell you what phase 1 and phase 2 will be. In fact, we can make them insiders, can't we?
Nobody's recording this, right?
No, nobody's recording this. So we're going to have a kickoff event, which we won't call a kickoff because it's not football. We're going to call it a puck drop event. At the end of March, we're going to be announcing the date pretty soon, and you're all going to get invited. We're going to unveil a bunch of the new images. And because you guys are friends of the family, we're going to launch a website as early as next week, maybe by the end of next week, where we're going to show some early previews of those images, of the ones that have been approved. And then we're going to keep updating that website probably on a monthly basis for the next 2 or 3 years as more and more things gets approved, because the last part of the reimagination probably happens 5, 6, or 7 years from now. So that's a short-winded answer is almost
a lot.
Next week is your first new hint.
That was great, covered a lot. You know, I think the biggest difference for me in renovation versus reimagination is renovation is maybe cookie cutter, you get this done as quickly as possible, you just do what everybody else does. I do feel, and from the things that I won't share, but that I've seen and heard from our offices.
Wait, you've been in my office looking at stuff?
I snuck in.
There's actually a video of you looking at
trying to peek at the renderings. I got slammed on. I think it's creativity though, right? It's a little bit of compassion, it's a little bit of creativity, it's a little bit of Sharks culture, San Jose culture, South Bay culture that's all going into this building. This is not supposed to eventually look like a building that changes, a building that's in LA or Chicago or Detroit or New York. This is supposed to look like a San Jose, California building.
That's well said. Actually, I'll back up again and say, look, we all love this building. It's the heartbeat of San Jose. It's been home of the Sharks since 1993. But the reality is this building was not designed as a hockey building. For those who've been around for a while, this building was designed as a multi-purpose building. And if you don't know the Sharks play here, if you walk in the building, it's not always immediately obvious. So one of the reimaginations that we want to do is we want to make this the literal Shark Tank. And so what does that actually mean? Well, you know, sharks swim in the ocean, and so we're going to take the oceanic idea and we're going to apply it everywhere and then some. And I don't want to steal all the thunder that we're going to unveil in March, but for those of you who might know a little bit about how the ocean works, there are multiple layers to the ocean. And at different layers of the ocean, there are different kinds of sharks and different kind of lighting and different kind of supporting things. And we're going to use that ocean theme to reimagine this as an actual tank.
Learn how to swim, everybody.
Yeah, no water. You will not have to hold your breath.
We know a couple of the things about this building, especially with sellouts lately. Again, the concourse gets crowded, and a lot of people use the south entrance as opposed to the north entrance, or other entrances that don't exist yet?
You really are peaked at these days.
Got my notes.
I need to lock my office from now on.
So is a lot of it just making it a more seamless experience too? I mean, again, people like the building. You're just trying to improve the building and make it easier for people.
Well, come on, let's be blunt. When there are more than 13 or 14,000 people in this building, which there are now all the time, the concourse is too crowded. It is, you almost have to use your sharp elbows to get by people. Those are waiting in line to get food or blocking you trying to get from one side to another. So we've got to figure out how to take 4,000 to 5,000 people off the concourse. And if you look at modern building designs, very few buildings are one concourse buildings. There are 2 or 3 concourse buildings. So we're reimagining how we'll do that. As you said, on an average event, concert or hockey, about 73% of the guests come through the south entrance, the one coming off of Santa Clara. That's too many, and so we're going to punch some new holes into the building and open up new ways to get into the building as well. Here's another exclusive that you'll learn more about as next week and then in March. There are no fans on this level. We're at what's called the arena level right now. The arena level there's no way to get here, and so that's an obvious place that we want to activate and do that as well. We have fantastic weather most of the time in San Jose. This building is enclosed. We want some indoor spaces in this building as well. We underutilize the top level, so we want to figure out how to energize what's currently called the penthouse level. I could go on and on, but then no one would show up at the March event, so I want to make sure they do that.
So stay tuned, for next week maybe?
Next week,
and
in
March.
On our website, March live event, where we unveil it for them.
If you didn't like my questions, Drew Remenda wrote them, by the way.
And if you did like them?
I wrote them. Or Randy. I like Randy too. I like Randy. All right, let's move forward and literally move forward with what we
But the nickname of Shark Tank will become real. That's the message.
We're doubling down on the tank.
Thank
I think people are instantly going to like that. Ryan, you and I have talked about the rest of the season, and I think your initial response was, yeah, don't ask me until it's over. That's when I can evaluate this season. How do you even know at the end if you'll be satisfied? Like, is there something in the back of your mind that you have to reach, or is it a certain goal? Is it a certain something? Do you already have that in your mind?
Yeah, have to ask me at the end of the season, I guess.
All right. Is it hard to see the rest of the year? I mean, you've got the schedule out in front of you, and you don't know how anything is going to play out. Is it kind of hard to set that goal? Is it that you don't want to, or it's hard to do that?
No, I think, we don't live under rocks, and we understand where we're at and where the situation we're in and where we are. And of course, the goal is to keep winning. But we still have to stick with, the process of developing our players and putting them in situations to get better from. But, it's a National Hockey League. We want to win. And we're in this situation. We have guys that are, like I said, playing for each other extremely hard. But we also have to keep pushing the envelope and being more consistent in our game at times. And we're just going to be where our feet are. We're going to focus. We're going to play the New York Rangers tomorrow night. And, our whole total focus will be on that game. And if we get too wrapped up in the outside noise and looking at the standings every night, you can get lost in the mentality of how we want to play with. So the focus is going to be on game by game, and we're going to focus on a good team tomorrow night and being ready to go, and then we'll turn the page and get ready for practice on Saturday. So that, we're going to focus exactly where our feet are, and we'll worry about that later.
Mike, did the first half of this season, or up to this point, did it set a different bar for you in the rest of the year? And I don't mean in terms of what's success or not, maybe how you approach the rest of this season.
No, not really. Like I said, I got to do my best to try and stay disciplined and focused on the long-term goals and plans for this group. And the players and Ryan have done a great job, and they keep pushing forward. And like Ryan said, they want to keep winning games, and we want them to do as well as possible they can. But for me, it's not something I'm willing to do or want to do, is be short-sighted and make decisions and moves that in 2 or 3 years I'm not happy with, and sets us back a little bit. So for me, it hasn't really changed my outlook on things too much.
Let's move on and actually move over to the San Jose Barracuda, the AHL team here in town. And obviously, some individual success, some team collective success. Mike, I'll go right back to you. They made the playoffs last year for the first time in a while. I know they want to get back there again. Philip Bistad is an all-star. Luca Cagnoni's having a good season. Casper Haltman, Quentin Musty, Cam Lund. What do you make of collectively what they're doing down there? And can what they're doing help you see more clearly the future of the Sharks right now?
Yeah, Johnny Mack and his staff have done a good job there. Todd Marchand and Tommy Wingles, Lucas Biza, Patty and Jumbo, the development staff have done a really good job with our young players down there. And we have development keys for each one and foundational things that we want them to work on and development goals. And those guys are working towards them and accomplishing a lot of them. So, like you said, Phil's had an all-star season. He's not easy, second season over here to kind of be the 1C, but he's taken that and he's thrived on it, and he's working on a lot of the little details that he'll need to have to play in the NHL, and we're seeing consistent growth there, and he's got the perfect role model in front of him in winning. You know, it's a lot of the same attributes and characteristics, and young Swedish player looking up to an older Swedish player who skates well and transports pucks and is responsible, so he's been good. Cags has been, had a second season here, and he's not catching anyone by surprise now, and teams are running at him and making it hard for him, but he's handling it very well. I think he's third or fourth in defenseman scoring in the NHL, and he continues to get better on the teaching principles and points we want him to work on. Cherney was really good down there. I think he surprised a lot of us down there with how well he picked up things, especially on the defensive side. He became one of the better penalty killers. But he's got a world of talent, and the coaches did a good job with him, preparing him to come up. And he came up and played well for us and filled in for us when, Kershaw and Smitty went down. Cam Lund's been really good. Maybe our most consistent forward down there. He's just had some injuries that have kind of taken time away, but as far as someone who plays with pace and hunts pucks and transports pucks and wins battles and protects pucks, he's doing a lot of things for a first-year player down there that make us really excited about his future. The Big Tuna has done well.
Casper Haltman, by the way.
He's learning the pro game. And he's had his ups and downs, but he's learning it. He's even had a couple fights and learning that if you play physical over here, there might be some ramifications for it, and he's handling himself well. And Q's been good. I think it took him a little bit of time to get used to playing in a pro game and less time and space and more details and more back pressure and things like that, but he's handling all the things we're asking him to do on the other side of the puck. We know what he can do with the puck. So, the staff's done a really good job with those guys, and we're excited. Whenever we've had to call someone up, they've come up and played well. Regenda, he's someone who's been in the minor leagues for a long time. The good coaching staff really did a good job with him. He's come up and he's produced from us right from the start. So, it's an exciting time down there. Hopefully they can keep pushing forward and make another playoff run.
Ryan, since Igor's name came up, when Chernyshov just started instantly, looking like an NHL player on the call-up, do you even tell him anything? Do you try and advise him, or just say, hey kid, just keep doing what you're doing?
Well, I don't know if he really understands me, but...
How about don't get a sunburn? We all know that backstory.
No, we're happy.
No, I know.
We're happy.
That worked out quite well.
No, he's obviously got some tools and the size and the frame of who he is, and then he put some pace with that and the speed that he plays with, and he looked really comfortable early on, and obviously got on the score sheet. And I think that really helps young players. If you think about it, they grow up, they're scoring, they're getting goals, assists. They're usually the best player of the team or even in the league. And when you can get that confidence to get on the score sheet, especially early in your NHL career, your confidence can kind of ride you a little bit. And he became a guy that we looked on for, played with Mac there for a little bit. We moved him around. Obviously, he's got some chemistry with Beast. So he's done some really good things, and we know he's going to be a pretty special player.
Right now is the portion of the evening where Jonathan is going to put on the shark tooth necklace.
No tarps off, sorry.
Suits on for Ryan Reeves. But actually, Ryan, I want to go back to
If
you.
Ryan was here, we'd do it, but since he's not here,
You would do it if Revo were here?
I wouldn't have much choice.
They're holding their
You had me going there for a second.
We could FaceTime Revo real quick. Ryan, I know you weren't here in the years where like Ryan Reeves was on the Golden Knights, and all these fans, do what you used to do to Ryan Reeves. Go ahead. Hey. Now do what you do to Ryan Reeves. It's not just the necklace, which I heard he was making, and I know he's doing the photos with it too. And I don't know about tarps off. We can save that for a separate chat. But what is it about him? And he really is embracing this. Like, he has bought in, and the way he came here, I don't know if he had to. Like, certainly nobody forced him to, but it's very genuine how he's approached this team.
Yeah, he cares. He cares about his teammates. He cares about us playing the right way. I've said it before. He's like another coach on that bench at times. Barking the orders of things where we need to do certain things in certain areas of the ice, and helping the young players. Helping Zach Ostapchuk kind of find a role as that 4C right now, and he's guided him along in the way he needs to play, and other players up and down our lineup. So he brings a lot of energy to our dressing room. He brings a personality before and after wins, during practice. The season is obviously a grind, and there's going to be days where you're grinding through it and you're exhausted. But he usually finds a way to get our guys kind of juiced up a little bit, and I think there's a lot of value to that. And on top of it, he's played some pretty good hockey. For moments at time, that fourth line was kind of our most consistent line, and kind of set an identity for us and created momentum for us. So he's done a really good job, and he's been a welcome addition.
And Mike, last one for you here from me. Just some of the steals, whether it's Vinny Iorio or I feel like Vinny Desharnais last year, the way he was acquired. Colin Graff seems like a player that was overlooked. I know even this wasn't in the NHL, but like Luca Cagnoni went undrafted at one point. What exactly do you think it is about the importance of finding talent in places people would normally look, or identifying talent the right way? Because you have had some sneaky moves.
Yeah, I think the scouts do a good job. They work hard. Scouting's a very difficult and demanding job. You're on the road a lot. You're away from your family. You're missing kids' birthdays and events. So our scouts have done a really good job. We've kind of told them the type of players and things we're looking for and traits we're looking for, and they've done a really good job. So it's just some of it's a luxury you have when you have opportunity to present people. You have some cap space and things like that. There's other things that go into it, but when you're kind of building up from the ground up, I think you can offer opportunity, and you can take some chances on guys that maybe haven't had opportunities elsewhere. So scouts have done a good job. We've been fortunate that some of these things that we've tried have worked, and hopefully we can continue to find some guys that are kind of off the path.
All right, I ran over time just a little bit, but I do have a lot of questions that all of you submitted, so I'll make everybody a deal here. We can go through these kind of quickly, all right? I'll try and get through 8 or 9 of these here, because I do think they're good. Grizzy, a lot of them are for you. That's not my doing. You've been singled out here. First one from Michael M. Mike, first off, fantastic job so far constructing a competitive roster. Most around the organization seem to agree that the rebuild is progressing perhaps a bit faster than expected. How do you balance the need to provide support at the deadline to this year's team that's pushing for the playoffs, while at the same time avoiding giving assets that will be needed to build the blue line?
Yeah, it's kind of what we talked about a little bit earlier, is not being too short-sighted, and not doing something that maybe sets us back in 2 or 3 years. So trying to make targeted acquisitions and find the right people, and we're fortunate enough we have a lot of picks, we've made a lot of picks, we have a lot of prospects, so we're able to move some around, but not to get too excited and do something we might regret.
Another one here for you, Mike, from Kim N. Kim asking, What made Kiefer Sherwood a trade target? Kim says he's one of my favorite players that wasn't a Shark. What process do you go through in order to try and convince a UFA to re-sign?
Well, I think for those of you that listened from day one when I got this job, thankfully through Jonathan and Hasso, was what I was looking for: competitive, fast, in-your-face hockey players. We wanted that to kind of be the identity of a Shark, and that's what Kiefer is. He plays fast, he plays hard, he plays physical, he's in your face. He's hard to play against, and he can score goals, he can kill penalties, he can play in the power play. He's just what you're looking for in a player, and I think it really helps supplement our group. He practices hard, he's got high character. These are things that I felt were important for our group. I know Ryan believes in the same thing, so with someone we targeted, we feel very fortunate to be able to have got him.
All right, the next one from Tina T, going to Coach Warsofsky. The Sharks had been struggling for a few years, including at the beginning of this season. I almost forgot about those games, by the way. Now they're playing much better and winning a lot more games. Now, what do you think is the reason that they have majorly improved their game?
I think we talked about. I think some young players took a nice jump from Mac and Will to Graffer. The players that we've brought in have really found roles for our hockey team, and the intangibles that we play with of playing for each other. There's a belief that now we can go into games, and there's almost an expectation that we can win the hockey game now, and I think that's kind of grown. There's certainly an energy back in the Shark tank, which we've talked about, that we've kind of fed off, and we've slowly taken some steps forward. And some nights it's maybe a step back, but it feels like we're quicker to get back on track this year than last year. So again, it's a process that we continue to work on and get better, and individually, collectively, and the standard and the identity that we want to play with each and every single night. And it's not perfect, and we're not there yet, but we've definitely made a stride.
Another one for Mike. This one comes from Eloy P. I actually kind of like the tone of this, because we're here talking about this season and this current team, but as the rebuild progresses, what does success look like for this organization in the next 2 to 3 years, and how do you balance patience with accountability during that process?
Yeah, I think every year everyone kind of wants to ask what the goals are, or what progress looks, or what I'll be happy with, and it's just guys taking steps and improving. So seeing the young players' development and their growth in their game, seeing us, be able to address some of the deficiencies we had in our play last year, have Warsaw and staff get the players to improve there. So, in 2 to 3 years, I hope that we just keep getting better every year, and see where that takes us. So if we just get a little bit of growth every year internally from our players, bring in the right players, draft the right players, and develop them, then we just keep getting better each year, then we'll kind of see where that lands.
Another one here for you, Greersy. They're going right at you. Steve wants to know, what are you looking for in terms of development from our defensive prospects that would make them keep the roster going forward? In particular, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on, we've talked about Luca Cagnoni, but Eric Polkamp's name is also in here too. What role do you envision for them should they meet these development objectives?
Yeah, for them, playing D in this league as a young player is very difficult. There's going to be lots of bumps along the way and lots of ups and downs. So the number one thing for those guys is defending. I think they all have offensive ability and talent, but you have to be able to defend this league, defend the rush, the speed off the rush. You got to be able to put guys up in the glass and defend in your own end. And then when you have the puck, it's being crisp and clean with it, kind of fighting the panic, as we kind of like to call it. When you're under pressure, can you problem solve and make a play? So, if those guys can figure that out, and I think our development staff's been good with that, I think they can really help us come up here and help us win games in the near future.
All right, last one here from Moya, going to Coach Horsofsky. Where do you see the Sharks gaining a competitive advantage that fans may not immediately notice? And how does that tie into what success might look like for the organization over the next few seasons?
Well, good question. I think similar to what kind of Mike just said, is we want to just continue to grow this thing and do it the right way. It doesn't make any sense for us to have a short-term, mindset of getting to the playoffs, and I don't think anyone in this room right now would want to go through what we just went through again. So we got to do it the right way, and continue to build it. Of course, the end goal is to win a Stanley Cup. That's why we got into this thing, but you can't rush the process, and we got to stick with it. And again, I think we've taken a step in the right direction this year. The first thing you see when you leave the building and the facility or the rink is focus on today. And it's the first thing you see when you walk in. So I wish I could, give you a big elaborate answer of, the future, but we're going to focus on today and then just getting better and see if we get a little bit better individually and collectively.
I think, as well, I think a little bit of the competitive advantage or what we have going for us is Ryan's ability to push players, get them to compete hard, get them to work hard, and show up and do it every night. Like you just said, focus on today. Our guys play hard. It might not always be pretty, but talking to other GMs around the league, that's what I get back from them. And you would think that should be the normal thing for every NHL team or professional sports team, is to show up and compete and play hard. But not everyone does it. And Ryan's done a great job with getting our guys to buy into that and work their butts off and compete every single day. So I would say that's kind of something that we have that not everyone else has in this league.
I mean, that's a perfect way to end it. I have a question for the president. After the questions I asked you tonight, do I still have a job tomorrow? Safe?
Let's ask the audience. Should we keep Brody around or not?
Really appreciate all of you for being here tonight. Thank you so much for your attendance. We hope we covered some or all of your questions in this panel discussion. Be sure to stop by the giveaway table on your way out of the arena, and if you haven't already, find your membership representative to pick up your exclusive Teal Lab gift. Hope you enjoy the rest of the night. We can't wait to see you out here at the tank supporting the Sharks down the stretch and maybe beyond. Thanks, everybody.